So there we have it then, our second piece of big news in the world of Formula One in just 2 days. Of course, yesterday we announced that Red Bull are being 50% acquired by Porsche, and today we've had the sadder news that Sebastian Vettel will be retiring from Formula One at the end of this season, following the 300th Grand Prix of his glittering career in Abu Dhabi. So really, really sad. I think for him, of course, it's good. He is desperate to go and spend more time with his family. If you haven't seen his full sort of explanation as to why he's come to this decision, check out the description below. I'll link the full video for you to go and check out, so you can see his full statement. But you know, the basics are that he wants, and his priorities are changing. He's of course behind the scenes struggling to justify his place in the sport due to his view on climate change, and he's of course been a massive advocate of climate change, and I hope he sticks around and is still a face in Formula One to continue to drive that change and drive the future of the sport, because I think that's really important. I think his voice, given how successful he's been and how big he is to the sport over the last sort of decade and a half, is really, really important that he sticks around. So I hope to continue to see him around, you know, every few races, just whether he could be on video call or whatever on Sky F1, but he needs to be continue to be a face in the sport and continue to drive positive change. But for him, the biggest thing of all is he wants to be with his family, and he's dedicated so many years to the sport, and he's reached the stage where the tipping point's changed and his priority has changed from him and his career and his life to his family and spending time with them. I mean, it must be so hard for all of the drivers who have got families back home, or anyone in that kind of world where you don't come home every night from work, where you are away weeks, months at a time, and you do only spend a handful of weekends every year actually at home with your family. It's got to be so difficult, you know, and you've got to have absolute passion and dedication for your job and the sport, in this case, that they do, to ever agree to do that. And of course, normally they get into the sport prior to having the family, and then they continue through it. But for now, his kids are getting older, and he feels like he's spending too much time away from his wife and his kids, and he's going to make the decision to go and be with them. So all the respect to Sebastian Vettel. For him, I think it's the right decision. He's clearly been umming and ahhing about this for quite a while now, and he's finally come to the conclusion that now is the time to step away and move towards being more of a family man, and of course focusing his working time he does leave himself on other things, other interests, and probably his climate work and things he wants to do to help improve the world as well, and get the right message out and help push people to action. That was a big point of his statement, is that now is the time to be making changes. So I fully expect him to be in and around the governing bodies of sports and using his name to try and drive change, not for the future but for now, and really pushing how important it is that we start making really big decisions soon, not later. Because, you know, he's right, he's passionate about what he's talking about, but he's also correct that the clock has already ticked down, and it is important that, you know, we have people like him pushing these narratives. You know, we see so many people going out there and protesting and doing what they're going to do, but realistically it takes people of power, of prestige, to really get other people of their level to listen. You look at, you know, people in government are far more likely to listen to someone who's respected and well known and has money than the general public, and that's not right, but it's also true. So let's hope that he can continue to do good work post his retirement from the sport. It will certainly give him more time to do so, and I hope that he gets all the time with his family that he deserves. But for me, from a sports perspective, yes, it's going to be sad to see him go, but of course, where there is a seat given up, there is a seat to be gained for another driver. So I'm really interested to know who you think is going to be taking the position of Sebastian Vettel at Aston Martin. Do you think they're going to let Stroll step up to the senior seat? I absolutely think that should not happen. Stroll cannot be given a position where he's the lead driver in any team, even the one owned by his own dad. He is not good enough. He doesn't have the maturity either to run a team, to be the lead driver, to drive the change and the development of a team. He doesn't have that experience. He doesn't have the talent, the quality, or the ability to be that person. So who do they need to get into that seat? They could go down the too young driver route. I don't think it works. I think we saw with Schumacher and Mazepin how toxic that got, and of course Mazepin's not the best example. We all know what his temperament was like, and I just can't see it working. I can't see an equal scenario with Stroll. Stroll's ego is such that you probably need someone who is clearly the number one to work with him. Because they could go down the route of someone like a Piastri. Piastri, of course, still looking for a seat. Alonso signed for another 2 years. It doesn't look like they're definitely not going to get rid of Ocon. I really, really don't think they'd ever do that. So I can't see Piastri getting the drive at Alpine. So maybe this is an opportunity for someone like a Piastri to go. And it might be something they consider. It just wouldn't be who I'd go for and have a position where Stroll is your most experienced driver. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I don't think it's the right place for Piastri to be. I don't think he'd get the support. I do think if they were going to bring a younger driver in, you might think that they could look at Mick Schumacher. Obviously, we know what the relationship between Vettel and Schumacher is, and I would kind of think that maybe if Seb will go, look, he needs a better team, he needs a better car, I want to handpick him as a gift to me. Could you consider making Schumacher my replacement? Now, that, of course, might not happen, but it might. It might be that Vettel is the connection in the sport of F1 that Schumacher needs to get himself a better drive. Now, of course, you could argue that Haas are the better team at the moment, but I think you'd probably all agree that long-term Aston Martin have more prospects than Haas do. Haas will have a good season. This year they're doing really, really well, but they had to take a whole year off last year to get themselves into position now. And you know what the development of other teams is like. You know how quickly they're going to progress their cars, and you have to suspect that they're going to move past Haas in these new regulations before long. So if I'm Mick Schumacher and the opportunity comes up, I'm taking it 100%. But if I'm Aston Martin and I'm Lawrence Stroll, I want someone to come in and lead the team. So difficult to know really who they could go and get. Of course, Vettel's the ideal candidate and he's leaving. Alonso's signed with Alpine for another 2 years. And again, I don't think he'd ever leave Alpine to cover Aston Martin. It's a step down. Hulkenberg, of course, has covered for them in recent years. He's stepped in. I don't think they would go for Hulkenberg. I don't think that he's done well enough in the races that he stepped in. I know there's been moments at Silverstone he looked so good for him, but I think his time as a full-time F1 driver has come and gone. As much as I love the Hulk, I think it's come and gone. So, going to be difficult. Let me know in the comments below. Who do you think is going to step in? Who am I missing? What am I missing? Who could come in and lead the Aston Martin team? Who is the ideal candidate for that role? Trying to think off the top of my head, who that could be. And, looking down the grid, maybe a Gasly would be a really, really good shout. He needs to get out of the Red Bull stable. I think they've talked about the fact that he's going to stay at least till the end of next year. But things change in Formula One. Silly season comes. Contracts are ripped up. I think Gasly could be a really, really good choice for Aston Martin. Gasly, of course, needs to break free from Red Bull. Then he's not going to get the opportunity to go and fight Verstappen again in the main Red Bull team. He struggled in the Red Bull car when he was there. I think he needs a fresh start outside the Red Bull stable where maybe he can be the key man. He could be the guy to go and drive Aston Martin forward. And I think he's clearly proven over the years that he's a better driver than Stroll. He would clearly be, in my eyes, the number one. So putting my neck out there, I would go out and get Gasly for a drive in Aston Martin. That's my pick. If they weren't going to go young, really young, and I say I wouldn't do that. I want to get someone experienced in that team. If this is F1 Manager, I'm 100% getting someone more experienced. I'm going for a Gasly or better. But you could go and get a Mick. You could go and get a Piastri. That could be the road they go down. But me, I'm going to go. My hand pick for Aston Martin replacing Vettel is going to be Pierre Gasly. Let me know what you think though in the comments. Do you think that would be a good choice for them? Do you think he has the credentials to go and lead that team and have that opportunity there to go and be that number one driver? Of course, he has that responsibility in AlphaTauri ahead of Tsunoda, but is it really number one? Because it kind of feels like 3 of 4 rather than 1 of 2, at least in my view. He isn't going to feel like the number one driver at AlphaTauri. All he's going to see is that there's 2 people in Perez and Verstappen at the main team in front of him. So he won't have the feeling of that. Whereas I think if he went to Aston Martin, he'd get the feeling of being the guy that they've put their trust in to drive that team forward following Vettel's moving on. So I think that could be a really good shout. I think Gasly to Aston Martin would work really well. Interesting to see what will happen though, and whoever gets into that seat is going to be a fantastic opportunity. I do think Aston Martin will progress over the next few years, but these days all of the teams are driving to get to the front. You look at Alpine, they're making huge gains. You know, obviously we saw Renault win world championships back in the 2000s. They want to get there again. Mercedes want to get back to where they were. Ferrari and Red Bull goes without saying. McLaren, the sleeping giant, they need to get back to where they were in the days of Mika Hakkinen gone by. And obviously, of course, and Lewis most recently. And yeah, it is absolutely pivotal that they make a good choice in who they pick for the first team. But I do worry that Lawrence Stroll and Aston Martin will prioritise the feelings of his son and their driver Lance Stroll, maybe ahead of the best thing for the team. The fact that he even drives there shows that they'll prioritise him over what's right for the team. I really don't rate him, but here we are. Let me know what you think, as I said. If you are new around here, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think of the news that Vettel has left. And as I said, make sure to go and check in the description for the full statement from the man himself. Really sort of moving statement from Vettel. Really happy for him that he's going to go and spend this time with his family, as I said. But yeah, something to look forward to then next season, finding out who takes on that drive and seeing how well they get on and if they can take that Aston Martin team to the next level. Make sure to leave a comment with your pick for his replacement next year. If you are new around here, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Otherwise, guys, just going to thank you so much for watching the video today. Hope you have a great day. Goodbye.